Good evening, everyone, and today I bring you a special episode of Not Chef Alex, Not Baker Alex. This is Model Railroader Alex. If that surprises you, let me give you a little quick backstory here. Back around when I was 9 or 10 years old, my grandparents gave me an HO scale model train set for Christmas. It came with circular track, an engine, and a few cars. And from that moment on, I was absolutely transfixed. And as the years progressed, I learned more about model railroading. And eventually, I got rid of my own track. It wasn't practical, I didn't have enough space. And after moving to Connecticut, I discovered the Farmington Valley Railroad Society, which is based at the Canton Historical Society Museum in Collinsville. We are at 11 Front Street. And I've been a member at that club since 2012. And let me tell you something, it is the most incredible thing. Not a lot of people know that I have this interest in model trains, also real trains. And I have developed quite a nice collection over the years. Gotten, I've become aware of what makes a collection realistic, what to look for when adding to your collection, when getting locomotives, when getting rolling stock, which includes freight cars and passenger cars. And recently, I've gotten very picky about my standards. And I'm going to throw some terminology at you during this video you might not understand, and I don't want to take the time to explain, or this video would be an hour long. And feel free to look it up. So things like having ditch lights on your locomotives, and you want to have what's called DCC and sound. I'll explain that part. DCC is digital command control, and that just means that you can program the number plate on the locomotive into a controller that then allows you to operate every aspect of the engine. You can sound the horn, the lights. You can turn the ditch lights on and off. You can control the speed, and all the engines in my collection are DCC sounds, so they operate just like, well, they operate and they sound just like real locomotives. I'm telling you, it's absolutely fantastic. So today I am here. I am at the painting table. This is where my mother usually does her painting, but I am doing some weathering on some rail cars. So in real life, when rail cars are first delivered to a railroad, they start out all shiny in their glossy coats of paint, but very quickly, two things happen. Number one, they get rusted. And number two, they get tagged with graffiti. And those are two things that you will see on rail cars. And it's all over the place. Right here in Connecticut, there's two prominent rail yards. Actually, three. There's the Hartford Yard, which is home to Connecticut Southern. There's the Plainville Yard, which is home to the relatively recently formed Berkshire and Eastern Railroad, which was previously Pan Am Railways. And then down south, in North Haven, there's the Cedar Hill Yard, which is home to CSX and the Providence and Wooster, which was purchased a number of years ago by the Genesee in Wyoming. And so, since this layout at the club is based on a New England layout, in fact, the front of the layout is actually an exact model of Collinsville 100 years ago. And we had to do that part in order to be able to have our layout at the museum. That's on purpose. That's the trade-off. We built the front to look like Collinsville 100 years ago, and subsequently that adds to the museum. It's a part of it's a part of history, part of local history. And then once you walk to the back of the layout, it's not modeled after anything in real life. But we like to think that it's more or less a New England layout. So I bought some rolling stock that I see all the time right here in Connecticut. In fact, right here in Plainville. And I have a locomotive on the way to add to my collection that I see around this area. And I want to do some weathering. I want to make the freight cars I bought look like they came. Sorry, I want to make the freight cars I bought look like they have been out under the hot New England sun. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you what I got going on here, and I think you will be very impressed. All right, everyone, so this is what I've been doing. Now, I was watching a video on YouTube. It was a highly detailed video explaining how to get the best weathering out of a black tank car. So this is TILX, and they began manufacturing tank cars exactly like what you see here back in the early 2000s after there was a serious surge in transporting liquids by rail. And this video detailed how you can do this and how it's really not any different than detailing other rolling stock that isn't black. But it involved isopropyl alcohol, a whole bunch of different colored paints that you might find at Michael's Arts and Crafts, as well as an airbrush. And I'm thinking, well, that seems like something I could potentially pull off. But you know what? I started working with this. So what we have here, this is raw umber. And it's sort of like a brown, but you know what? I think it's significantly more like a rust color. If rust could be used to describe a color. I love this, and I've already started. So what I'm doing here is I start by taking some paint here, and I'm more or less just painting over everything. Then I'm taking some paper towel here, and I start to try and wipe it off. But I'm not actually wiping it all off like I'm trying to correct a mistake. Ooh, I accidentally got paint on this and I want to take it off. No, I'm not doing that because I'm leaving some of it on. And in the end, there's a thin layer of it on, which makes the tank car look dirty. And see, 80 years ago, railroads took pride in cleaning their locomotives and their rolling stock, but they realized fairly quickly that it's expensive and it wastes a lot of water, and that it's really not something they have to pay attention to, because really what's important is the mechanics. You want everything to be in good working order. As for looking spick and span and nice and shiny and clean, that's not essential. I mean, I'll do that with my car because it carries passengers, right? It carries people. And passenger trains will be washed, hosed down, and made to look nice because, again, they carry people. Well, passengers, but in this case, it's not important as long as it gets the job done. So I'm going to start right here. We're going to take some of this We're going to take some of this varnish here, and we are just going to start applying it. I've already done the other side, and I've done one of the ends. And hopefully after this dries, I'll be able to flip it onto its back so I can do the underside. And when you hold this stuff, it's amazing how fragile these little pieces are, right? You have all this metal piping, right? And these metal railings, and my goodness, they are fragile. You have to be so careful. Let me tell you, this is this really is something. And it's such a disconnect because in real life, that stuff is steel. And I mean, there is just about nothing that could cause it to break. But in a model here, all I have to do is just touch it too hard with my thumb and poof, it's gone. So right now, I'm holding it exclusively by the trucks, aka the wheels. So I am applying paint just like so. And I am not being shy about having it cover everything. Now, I'm not going to go too far down because I'm going to clash with the rails, the railings, and I don't want to do that. I could pop them off with my brush, and then you can't get them back on. All right, so we've done that. Looks about good. I also got the top. Now I'm going to apply a little to the side, the one side I didn't get. Right like that. Okay, now as you can see, the way it looks right now on its own, it does not look very realistic. Railroads simply don't do that. But watch the magic happen when I grab some of this paper towel and I start to rub. Things start to get jiggy. Check this out. And I'm not being shy about my rubbing. I want to rub a fair amount of it out, ultimately, so that any lettering is kind of visible, but not quite. Like it's faded and cracked under the hot sun. So I'm taking this. And you know what? This really is kind of a brown. But when I do this, it starts to mix with the original factory black paint. And I'm telling you, it's the most amazing thing. I didn't think it would be quite this simple. What it is it's a work of art. And I don't mind my hands getting dirty. I'm going to wash them anyways. All right. One-handed, let's grab some more paper towel here. Yes. So I'm watching carefully as I'm rubbing where I'm rubbing. Wow, this stuff, I'm surprised. You know, the stuff actually dries fairly quickly. So I'm continuing to work at it. I'm continuing to chip away while holding it exclusively by the wheels. Because there's not much to the frame here, right? It's not like a boxcar. Oh, yeah. There we go. Now let's get started on this side. And initially, I'm just going to start wiping. Not too aggressively by any stretch. I'm just trying to get some of it off. And in the process, you start to work some of it into the existing paint. Be careful not to overuse these paper towels. You want them to make sure that they don't get too saturated. So I'm basically not just wiping it off, but also working it in. And so now I'll touch the top very gently as I roll it, as I tilt it slightly like this. I'm going to take another jab at the underside here, which still has quite a bit of paint. I may have gotten a little far down there, but you know what? There's some lettering down there, and I want to make this look good. My mother has some incredible paints, and she is a fabulous painter, by the way. She's also the art coordinator at the Simsbury Public Library. I figure it's as good a time as any to do a little brag about my mother. Okay. And also one of the perks of still continuing to live at home. I get access to all this great stuff. Ha ha. Okay, now, and you gotta work fast. I didn't realize this stuff does dry significantly quickly. So, nope, we're good. Okay, just had a little scare there for a minute. So, I thought something had broken off. I'm like, I didn't do that. Okay, so now, again, hold by the trucks. I want to just make the text barely visible on this side. Let's grab some more of this stuff. Rub it around. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Now, hold on. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to retouch it. Just a little. Okay, now let's try a little more of this. I'm going to rub it a bit more cautiously. Ooh, I think that's a good one. Get one little spot. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, I think so. I think this is quite the masterpiece. Have a look and see for yourself. There's the top. There's the other side. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that's it right there, folks. All right, I hope you enjoyed. Now comes the waiting game. It will dry overnight, and it will be ready to use tomorrow.